y'all see me sit down with different people of different walks and likes, and we get their backstories, and we hear the conversations, and we hear the stories of it all. Well, today we're gonna be hearing backstories from yours truly. So if you got a question you're curious about, the floodgates are open. If you got a question or something, you can put it in the chat. But I'm just going to be telling you bits and pieces of backstories of who Spud is, and maybe the who, what, whens, and whys of Spud. But I am getting some text messages that people are saying that the live is not working, or they're not seeing the live. So if you know anything about technology, it works until it doesn't. So give us a little bit before we keep getting the set going. Christy, I see you. And we're going to keep this going. I'm seeing a few people saying there's a few issues. I see a few people catching it. Some aren't, but it's okay, because we're going to work through it. That's one thing that we always do, is we work through it. So while we work through it, I'm just going to give you a little video. This song is called In a Minute. Again, it's yours truly featuring Saeed. And we're going to get with the set. Just making sure everything is running and all the back end work is done correctly. So check this out. We'll be back in a second. In a minute. No pun intended.
It's been a minute since I called them calls that never called till them calls came in. Of course they wanna pause. Connections got lost, they forcing the recalls. I'm crossing over courts, they crawling in Jordan 4s. Stand up, homie, why you talking from the floor? And I don't look down, so we ain't talking at all. My head's to the north, I'm forwarded in my thoughts. I compassed my heart, my morals I never lost. So how you gonna talk devaluing what I lost? To calculate the value, amount, and what it costs. It was mountains that I crossed. While shackles I had to walk. I took a few falls, some walks I had to crawl. That's why I go hard, these bruises don't wear off. 7 days a week, I'm moving at 24. That's hours of rims, whatever you focused on. It been a minute.
Wait a minute. I ain't heard back, now I get it. Seconds move fast in a minute. I could run a class with a pivot. Oh no. Wait a minute. I ain't heard back, now I get it. Seconds move fast in a minute. I could run a class with a pivot. Oh,
it's been a minute since I spit it, I get it. Cause I sit it and watch how you shifted to listen. As I witness every word spoke, forbid it with hopes the good rid it. I ain't even take the shot, you tallying the misses. I hit him with the pivot, had faith and did it. Came back, time flies and watching even ticking. How you in my business and we ain't got no business. Home team in business, you the one that isn't. And I ain't even tripping, the flights I take is interest. You see it cause I post it, now you get the picture. I had you in my mind, frame it, high display. You bled out of eye range, divide the page. Feelings got torn, no supplying the tape. Feelings got worn, so I stapled my place. On my piece, this is peace. Talk is cheap, and we ain't gotta speak, it been a minute.
Wait a minute. I ain't heard back, now I get it. Seconds move fast in a minute. I could run a class with a pivot. Oh no. Wait a minute. I ain't heard back, now I get it. Seconds move fast in a minute. I could run a class with a pivot. Oh no.
Shout out to everybody that's on right now. I tell you, shout out to everybody in Singapore. We got a few questions that came in already on SHU at spudbrooklyn.com. If you online listening, if you're on Google TV, Apple TV, and you got a direct question for me, today is dubbed Storytime with Spud. And normally I'm interviewing somebody, and today we were just going to get some backstories for me and open up the floor to our listeners and viewers. And already I got to send a big shout out to everybody in Singapore. Already we got some questions popping in. One of them is a little later, so I'm going to work my way into the story of getting to that. But I want to shout out Zaid. I believe that's how you pronounce the name, Zaid. So shout out to Zaid who sent in the questions as well. But one of the interesting questions that was asked was how did I get my start? And to to unpack how I got my start, there's many different layers of what started what. But my earliest remembrance was music. Like the earliest thing I could remember is the vibration of music in the household as a kid, and my family, between my mother listening to soft rock and then my father listening to Motown and reggae, Bob Marley, and then my sister listening to dance hall. And I remember music not being a genre for me. It was a feeling, it was a mood, it was an expression or an outline of a person. Like when I heard dance hall music, it was an energy that progressed into something. But I could never forget the day that I heard rap, or that I remember not even hearing rap, when I saw the video. And, you know, I heard rap, and of course it resonated quickly. But when I heard and saw the music video, and the first video was Rakim, and when I saw Rakim's Follow the Leader, I never forget how marveling it was to see people who look like me. It was black men who looked like me, but they were dressed in suits and they had Tommy guns. And I'm not saying I'm promoting violence, but this was stuff that I saw in the movies, and it was always depicted by a white person. And not to put race in it, but that was the constant picture at the time. So when I saw these rappers in tuxedos, you know, with the old cars, and it was like, it was mind blowing to me. It took me to a whole new place of creativity, and I was like, yo, I want to create music. Like, I always loved music, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to create music. And that was the first time that I remember incorporating like what music would look like for me if I could create music or put music out. And the first song that I ever wrote in my life was at 13. It was a diss record. It was a record diss to Crisscross. Now, coming up, when I came up in the music, and even now, it was competitive. So you always wanted to look at your legends, or those that you appreciated or looked up to, and you wanted to compete with them. Like you wanted to play Michael Jordan in basketball. You know, you wanted to be like him, but you wanted to beat Michael Jordan in basketball. And music was Crisscross. They were young. You know, it wasn't like looking at Rakim, or older guy. It was like I was looking at someone that I could see in my school. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna write a diss record. And my first song that I ever written in my life was called The Newest, Making Fewest. That was the name of my song. The Newest, Making Fewest. And the chorus was like, yo, I'm the newest, just making fewest. Yo, I'm the newest, just making fewest. So sucker MCs that want to come battle me. Crisscross ain't know me to battle me. They had no clue who I was. But that wasn't the point. The point was, that was how we competed. And my competing was, I wanted to be or challenge the greatness of what I saw in others. And that's what introduced me into the music aspect. For those that are just jumping on in the app, or if you're on Instagram, today on MJMG Presents Shoe Radio. Normally on Mondays, I interview different talents and professions of all likes. Today is story time with Spud. So if you got a question of something that you're curious about, if you're interested, it doesn't matter if it's business, whatever it's about, please feel free to put it in the chat. If you're on the app, please keep sending your questions to shu@spudbrooklyn.com. Again, that's shu@spudbrooklyn.com. But other than that, I'm just going into story time, sharing some stuff, working its way into who and what makes Spud. So when after getting into my first song with Crisscross, that's when I wanted to, progress to be into a writer. But what a lot of people don't know about me is I'm what you would call I'm a nerd. And I know people like a nerd, and what that looks like is subjective, right? But I was always into science. The very first thing that I ever wanted to be in life, was a scientist. That's what I wanted to be, a scientist. Like nothing else. I wanted to be a scientist. Chrissy said, yeah, you are. I wanted to be a scientist. And I would make like projects in my house in my spare time. Like I will say as a kid, I did enjoy alone time. Like, and I'm the youngest in my family. So I guess alone time came with it because everybody was venturing out. But I enjoyed my alone time. Like, I was never a kid bored. So I would go into the junk drawer and I would make stuff, and I would get clay and I would make dinosaurs, or I would put dinosaurs in clay and then make fossils and go to school and present it, because there was really nowhere else to present it. So I would rush to school to present this. So the creativity in me was always in expression. It was always an expression. I think the longevity of me merging into music, the reason was I started to see a lot of, especially in hip hop music, a lot of remnants of my true life. Like things I saw, things I heard, things I seen was being either expressed or visualized in hip hop music. And that association just gravitated to that. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm still a nerd and I still like building stuff and putting stuff together. That is just me. The washing machine could be broke. I never fix it. I'm going to take it apart and I'm going to find out what's wrong with it. And we're going to get, that is just me in the expressive mode. But growing up, that was one thing that I always wanted to do. And I want to send a big shout out, especially to Patricia Groves, who was my 4th grade teacher. She gave a lot of room for that expression of creativity in a time where teachers didn't really do that. You know, I look at schools now and I see how kids are there's so much room and freedom for them to express and find things. But when we was growing up, or when I was growing up, I could say schools wasn't so prevalent in that expression, and she left a lot of room for me to do that. She left a lot of room. And that also, even to this day, I remember her saying, yo, you're going to be a teacher. And I'm like, hell no, I ain't going to be no goddamn teacher. I'm going to be a rapper. That's what I'm going to be. You know what I'm saying? Or I'm going to play basketball. But her introducing a lot of those things early, having me present, you know, a jet engine that I made out of a high C can. I even once bought what I thought was a bomb to school. You do that now, boy, the feds will have me in cuffs. They'll be on the news. But I remember seeing the atom bomb on TV, and it was speaking about a scientist who created the atom bomb and how brilliant he was and all the things that he did. And it wasn't about what the bomb could do. It was about the scientist. And I'm sitting there watching this on TV like, fuck yeah. Like, I could do that. Like, it'd take a guy in this white robe with these that look like he looks boring. I could make a bomb right now. I just go in the drawer and I grab the 2-liter bomb and I 2-liter bottle, and I cut it and I put these wires and I put batteries. I had a remote control from this robot named Rob that came from Radio Shack. Okay, I know I'm showing my age from Radio Shack, but I opened up little Rob, this robot, and I took out all his mechanisms and I threw it in there with wires. So I had a remote that you hit it and it blinks. And I was like, okay, that's how I ignite this bomb. And I took it to school, and she let me present it in class. And years later, I come to find out, like, the teachers, the principal was on her, like, I can't believe this. She said, no, it's just school. It's just school. Like, it's the creativity. Like, don't look at him. I didn't even know there was fever about it, but I presented this bomb in class years ago. And that introduced me into teaching. I think that even introduced me to performing. Even in music, I was always a shy person. To this day, I'm shy. The difference is I challenge myself in my shyness. Like, I love being put on the spot. I always tell people I love being asked questions that I don't want to answer. That's my favorite thing. I love you asking me a question that I don't want to answer, because it's a challenge to myself. And that was me. That was me growing up. So when I found music, it was an easy transition. But music really took a big turn in prison. It took a big turn in prison, and I'll share why. At the age of 15, I got incarcerated, and I actually got sentenced to life with the possibility of parole in 7 at the age of 15, which I spent 13 years incarcerated. And when you're incarcerated, what the typical person don't really get. I could understand people saying like, "Wow, that's detrimental," but the psychological effect that prison has on individuals, I think it goes beyond like the common, isolation. It's more in depth, and the longer you are, the more engraved it is. And while you're going through that psychological effect, mind you, at a 15-year-old, still developing the thought patterns, still developing the concepts of life and society, it's a duality. So at the same time of developing as a human, right? And there's different stages of development. So there's the development of a human, there's a development of a black man, there's a development as, the child into this person, development of this. I don't want to get too crazy into that, but one thing that was always there, whether it was I couldn't reach family, or I couldn't speak to the loved ones, or I was missing out with freedom, was music. Music was the same no matter what situation I was. It was the only. And there were people there that was supportive. There was people there that held me down. But music was the only thing that was guaranteed to hold me down. It was guaranteed to be there in the seconds that I needed it. I could turn to music, whether I was writing music, whether I was reciting music that from songs that I heard, or whatever. Music was the only thing. So my relationship with music wasn't a hobby. It wasn't something that I wanted to do. It became a necessity for sanity. Like, music became my way to exist, because if I didn't have it, all the other pressures were so prominent and consistent. That was the only thing that I could truly use to combat that while I developed myself as a human being. So I started to write songs like crazy and create. And in prison, and I know Booker O is on right now, and he could confirm this. In prison, there's this infatuation with music videos. The old heads used to always be like, "Yo, I just want to watch that dumbity dumb stuff, man. Watch the news and watch that. You gotta be equipped." And I understood the news. I understood the importance of reading and developing and all that. But one thing that rap videos did for me, that the news and educational books, which I did all those, didn't do, was it entertained my fantasy. You see, fantasy is one of the biggest things that kept me going while in prison, because it took me and let my mind roam. It created places, endless places that I could be. So when I watched these rappers in spots and venues and doing that stuff, or on tour, and it took me along with them. Shout out to Shadow, I see you. So while in prison, those music videos was very instrumental. Like, it wasn't dumbing me down. It was broadening my horizons. It was letting me take what I was learning in books and reading, watching the news, but then also fueling my fantasy. And I think a lot of brothers, and this is my true belief, a lot of brothers who come from prison, the ones that are really hard up and don't really adjust into society, didn't really take the time to fantasize. It was the books. It was that discipline of education and being informed, and there's nothing wrong with it. But if you don't balance it with some level of fantasy, you'll just be stuck to what is exact. And when you stuck to what is exact, when things go a little off, it throws your world completely off. When you can't adjust to the possibilities, like, nah, this is how it gotta be. And don't get me wrong, I was in that phase one time when I was studying mathematics, and I was just stuck cut on, nah, this is what it is, and this, but that's part of the development. I spent 13 years in that environment, developing and learning myself. And if I had to chalk prison up to a saying, prison is basically your gravesite while you're conscious of who comes to your tomb. I'm gonna say that again. Prison is basically your gravesite, but you're conscious to see who comes to your tomb. And that's a real hard pill to swallow when you're in that situation. So when I got out, all I could think about, when I was leading to when I was getting out, all I could think about was, I'm gonna do music. I'm gonna do music. How? I had no clue. I'm gonna do music, y'all. Music. I gotta do music. Music is what kept me going. Music is everything. I gotta do music, some shape or form. And my first outlet to music while incarcerated was a guy named Shark. And shout out to my man Shark. He came into the prison and he was so, man, this guy Shark was so like different. He had this, come to find out he was a stylist, so he had a whole different effect, right? But Shark came into the prison with this attitude like, yo, I don't eat that food. Like he had this prestige that almost seemed too good because we were in the mud and we accepted the mud, but this brother he just couldn't accept it. And one day he came to my cell and he was like, yo, what are you doing all night? Your lamp is on all night. What are you doing? And I'm like, yo, I write music. And Shark was like, yo, Spud, you write music? I said, yeah. He said, so you write anything? I said, he said, I'm gonna see you in the morning. So he leaves my cell and I'm like, yo, who this dude come to my cell? First of all, I don't like the way he move. He moved like he too good. But now he wanna hear my music. So he came to my cell the next morning and he said, yo, I wanna hear some club shit. And he leaned in and I spit some club shit. He was like, I need something to make me think. And I spit some club shit, something to make him think. And he said, I need some pain. So I spit some shit to make the pain. And he said, yo, you know what? I'm gonna put you on the phone with somebody. Give me a second. And he ran off. Now in prison, and if you just jumping on, shout out to everybody just jumping on. This is Story Time with Spud. Normally on Mondays we interview somebody. Today I'm giving y'all the chance to ask some questions. No question is off the table. But other than that, I'm just sharing bits and pieces of who Spud is and what makes Spud. So if you have a question, I'm reading the chat. Some emails came in from the app. I'll be getting to those as I answer my questions or go along with the story. So I just wanted to fill everybody in what's going on right now. Today is Story Time with Spud. Story Time with Spud. So the brother Shark comes back to my cell like 20 minutes later and he says, yo, go in the phone booth. Now in prison, everybody is somebody. I done heard helicopter stories. I heard about back in the days, this person kidnapped Nixon. You heard it all. And it's entertainment. So sometimes even if you don't believe it, you be like, word, that shit is crazy, right? So here this dude that I don't really too fond of, don't really know him. And he says he put me on the phone. So first thing I think, oh, he trying to hustle me. I get on the phone and I'm like, hello. And the guy's like, yo, how you doing? My name is Kurt Burrows. He could have said anything. He could have said it in Russian. That meant nothing to me. But Kurt Burrows was the guy who actually started Bad Boy with Puff. Yeah, he was the actual guy who started Bad Boy. Puff just got the money. But I didn't know this. So the guy, Kurt, says, yo, spit something for me. I'm a rapper. You tell me spit, I'm going for your jugular. So I start spitting to the point where he's like, stop. I'm like, yo, I got more. He's like, yo, when you get out, I'm like, yo, go to my parole board. Another year. He said, all right, get a pen, take down this number and address. And I remember writing it down. And he says, you know who I am? I said, nah. He said, do this for me. I'm taking a chance on you. I need you to find out about me. He said, you know Mary J. Blige? I said, yeah, I know Mary J. Blige. He said, well, if you got any access to look up who's in her circle, look me up. So I look up. Kurt Burrows actually was managing Mary J. Blige. Then I found out he was the co-owner and creator of Bad Boy. So I'm like, oh shit, this dude Shark knows somebody. So I go to Shark like, yo, Shark, thank you for the plug, bro. But what do you do? And that's when he was like, yo, I'm a stylist. Like, I'm a stylist, and I kind of got kicked out of the business because there's a lot of things that happen in that industry that I'm not a part of. So they got me out. So he said, yo, I made a few money moves and it backfired. So that's why I'm here. So that motivated me into like, oh, I got an outlet. I got someone who could make life change and I could create music. So I was writing this music. Unfortunately, I get hit at the board again. I believe that was my second board. No, my third board. My second board. I got hit at my second board. That's when I got hit at my second board. I went to 4 parole boards. Each time I got 2 more years before I go to the next board, right? So I got hit at my second parole board. So that kind of put a slow thing, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to really focus on my music. Of course, I got hit at my 3rd parole board, but comes my 4th parole board. And what's interesting about he's with a name like Shark, yeah, my man Shark was my man Shark was different. But the story with Shark, there's more with Shark, and we gonna get with more with Shark, cause Shark ain't swim away. He ain't swim away. Shark goes home, right? So I get hit at the board, Shark goes home. He sends me 3 things. He sends me 3 things every month. He doesn't send me a letter like, yo, what up? How you doing? Hold your head. No, he sent me 3 things. He sent me the Billboard magazine, Men's Health, and a GQ. Those 3. Guaranteed every month, like the first week of the month, he was sending it. So he had these subscriptions in his house. Instead of throwing them away, he mailed me the Billboard, Men's Health, and GQ. Sorry. And I didn't realize, of course, me knowing him now, what he was doing, he was setting me up in a mind frame for business, health, and presentation without even saying it. So I would read these religiously. I would read them from head to toe. I read the advertisement. I read everything. I read the fine print. I like literally, when you're in prison, you got a lot of time to do shit that normally you wouldn't do. I read the whole thing. Come to my 4th parole board. What was interesting with my 4th parole board, I messed up 3 parole boards, right? I won't say I messed up because it's hard to beat parole boards, right? So shout out to Laura Cohen from Rutgers University. She was giving me these mock parole board hearings. So she would drive from Jersey and give me these mock parole board hearings. And there was a lady named Garcia who was at my 1st parole board who told me in my first, I'm still tight, told me in my 1st parole board, oh, you're a young man, you going home. So when you go home, be good and don't come back. And then I told everybody I made my board, and then 2 days later I got hit. That was a super mind fuck, right? But I didn't know she was going to be in my 4th one, y'all. She was going to be in my 4th one. So we prepared for this one question. And the question that always was the same was, if you could go back in time, would you? And the first time I answered it, I kind of fumbled. If you could go back in time, yes, I will go back in time, because what happened with, well, you can't go back in time, Mr. Campbell. It's, you did what you did and that's it. Boom, right? The second time they asked me if you could go back in time, I tried to answer, yes, I will go back in time. And they was like, what would be different, huh? What would be different? Oh, because you know better now, but you didn't know better. You'll repeat the same thing, right? So the 3rd time they asked me that, I'm already frustrated. But the crazy part, I was so far up north, the TV, it was via satellite. That parole board hearing was a disaster, bro. It was like them Saturday afternoon kung fu movies. It was like, Mr. Campbell, do you have... And as I'm trying to answer it, they're like, Mr. Campbell, would you answer? And I'm like, well, I'm trying to. It was a disaster. I wasn't going home. Of course, I got hit on that. So on my 4th parole board, we were preparing for that question. And that question was like, listen, this is how we're going to freak them. We're going to answer those questions without answering it. We're going to answer it with a definition, because you can't beat that question. So when they ask you the next one, and we practice it. When they ask you if you could go back in time, what you're going to say is, you know, going back in time is a privilege, but being that I can't go back in time, what I could do now, and you know, you build it, and don't give them the room to bang me with that hook like, well, you can't, because there's nothing I could say, right? We practiced for a whole year on the phone, legal visits, you name it. We practiced this. The day of the hearing, I remember going to my board in Altona Correctional Facility. And I just woke up different, man. I was playing Bob Marley. I was playing Bob Marley that whole night, that morning. And when I got to the door, I was like, I keep the game plan going, keep the game plan going, keep the game plan going. And I remember walking into the hearing, and then I saw Miss Garcia. The lady who told me that she was letting me go my first board, don't come back because I'm young, I got a whole life, and then bang me. I saw her, I got scrambled. I didn't know if I wanted to like assault her, run over the table, duff her, bing, 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 bing. Or sit there and be militant or stick to the, it was confusing. And I was like, she ain't gonna be the one to talk to me. Because in parole boards, there's 3 commissioners, but one usually talks to you, and the rest are looking at the folder of the person that's coming in next, right? And I'm like, she ain't gonna be the one. She looked up and like, Mr. Campbell, let's proceed. And I was like, this motherfucker, B. What am I gonna do? Like, I'm tight and I'm nervous. And she did the whole same thing. Mr. Campbell, you're here for second degree murder, blah, blah, robbery, gun charge, blah, blah, blah. Reading off all the stuff. We see that you went to the box at this time, blah, blah. You live in Brooklyn. All the typical stuff that she got the folder. It ain't changed. This is my fourth run here. It ain't changed. It's been 13 years. Ain't nothing in that changing, right? And I'm just like, yes. Probably like, which probably was only 3 minutes, felt like 15, right? Yes. And then she got to the guts of it. This buster, I want to say something else, but this buster had the gall to even ask me, Mr. Campbell, if you could go back in time and change what you did, would you? And I paused. I remembered the game plan, y'all. I remembered the game plan. Answer it without answering the question, but give definition. And my bright ass goes and utter the words, no. You heard the music stop? Yeah, everybody stopped. The two men who were looking at the folders, them motherfuckers looked up. I ain't never have all three parole board commissioners look up my whole entire time going to the board. They looked up and she said, excuse me? And I said, no. If I could go back in time, would I? No, I wouldn't. She was like, why would you say that? And I was like, you know why? Because I learned what freedom is. I understand what family means to me now. The fight to want to be in that atmosphere, I don't know if I would have had it the same measurement if I could go back in time. So I know a life was taken. I know another individual was shot, and I'm not praising that. But what happened after that, I don't know if I would trade that. And as soon as I said that last word, I was like, fuck, bro, 2 more years, bro. I'm gonna go to a 5th board now, B. So now I'm all in, right? Now I'm all in. I done created that atmosphere. Game plan is out the window. We practiced this for a whole year. Game plan is out the window. So now I'm all in. I might as well just shake out. So anything they ask me, I'm just going to be real and blunt. It's going down. So they started to talk about, we see that you have some college credits. And I said, I don't want to talk about the college credits. They're like, excuse me, I don't want to talk about the college credits, how many programs I did, teacher's aide. I don't want to care that I'm a nurse aide, that I do hospice. I damn near had every certificate. I had parenting. I didn't have kids. I told anger aggression. I told drug anonymous. I did no drugs. Like, there was nothing. But I didn't want to talk about that. And it was like, what do you want to talk about that, Mr. Campbell? And I was like, I want to talk about why I'm here. And they were like, so why are you here? To see if I could go home. I said, yo, we talk about this every pro board. I wait all this time to sit here for y'all to read something on a file. Yeah, that can't change. And the lady was like, well, we got to go over this as procedure. I said, so then do your procedure. Go do it. And she read it off, and I was like, all right, let me tone it down a little bit, because I don't want to just get hit for this one. And I don't want to just get hit for the next one either. Like, let me chill, because now I'm on fire, right? Let me chill and bring it back. I got to bring it back, because I feel me going. And the crazy part, they not checking me like, Mr. Campbell, do you want your freedom? That probably would have had me like, yeah, I do. But they were like taking the punches. Like, I'm hitting them in the head, and they letting me duff them. So I gotta chill. And they said, Mr. Campbell, we want to, and I cut her off. I don't know what she was gonna ask me. I said, this is what I want to say. This is all I want to say. Who I am in that file is, I'm always going to be that person in the file. Always. Could you give me a chance to be me now? And the lady was like, well, that's what we trying to do, but you're making it difficult. And I said, that's how I feel. And I sat there, and after that, everything was a blur, y'all. I didn't know what they were saying, whatever it was. But I remember getting up, and the lady said, have a good one. And I said, yeah, one day. And I walked out. And I remember the first dude was like, yo, what's the temperature? Like, everyone who goes in before you, they ask, like, yo, how was it in there? Because they was going in. And I wanted to be like, damn, bro, I heat that shit up for you, champ. Like, you walking into the pit right now. And I just was like, I can't tell, bro. And I went to the yard and I worked out. And I did my sets. And, you know, and the crazy part is they make you wait like 2 days to get your decision in the mail. You don't get a decision there. Ain't no way a motherfucker gonna tell you we not letting you go in front of you. They might get busted upside their head by someone, right? So they let you sit. And, you know, they tell you if it's fat, if the letter's fat, you're not going home because there's appeal papers. So, you know, I got the letter. Then 2 days later, and guess what my ass did? I squeezed it and I was like, it's kind of puffy. And I tucked it in my locker. And I went to the yard and I worked out. And I remember everybody goes, Spud, what's up? They let a few people go home this one, Spud. What's up with your parole board hearing? And I was like, yo, I think I got deuced. He said, you think? I was like, yeah, I ain't checking, but it ain't go too well. It wasn't until that night when I was like, okay, let's get the appeal straight. You know, I'm going to do the typical file the appeal. They send you your minutes. Right before it gets heard, it gets mooted because you're going right back before it all happens. It's a whole racket, right? It's a play on hope. It gives you hope to fight for something, right? So in my head, I'm like, let me get my hope going and do this appeal. And I said, early release date. I was like, I'm going home? It said your early release date. Normally, parole board hearings, it says due to the nature of your crime. Once you see due to the nature of, you're getting banged in the head. That's it. And that's their excuse. Due to the nature of your crime, we feel you will not fit well in society. You know what I'm saying? That's their go-to. Mine said early release date. I got on the phone. I called my family. I told my lawyer, I told everybody, yo, look, I'm coming home. It was surreal. You know what it is for 15. I went in at 15, and now I'm 28 years old. I done watched all the music videos. I watched the news. I read books. I did all this, and now you telling me I'm about to be a part of all that? You know, I'm about to be a part of all that? Some people get nervous. Not me, bro. I was excited. I was like, yo, this is going to be crazy, bro. Bro, I'm not even going to know how to go for a job, bro. Bro, I'm not even going to know how to fill out a resume. You know, and that sounds crazy. You know how exciting it was to not know how to do a resume? I was like, yo, I'm about to find this shit out, bro. Like, I'm going to write a resume. One day I'm going to write a check, bro. Like, I'm going to write a check. That's how detached I was, bro. The fears of what normally would get people pushed away, it was an excitement because I didn't experience that. So I get out. Again, shout out to Miss Groves, who I paroled to. I paroled to Miss Groves, which is my 4th grade teacher. Shout out to Christy, my sister right now. She ain't here. Actually, I'm gonna put it on blast. Christy gave me her room, and I want to send a big salute to Christy. I know I'm giving out too much information, and it doesn't amount to the story, but it's my story. And Christy gave me her room. I remember her sleeping in the living room while I had her room. So Christy, I love you, and it was a pleasure and an honor to walk you down the aisle during your wedding. Like, that's another story, because me and Christy go back. That was my first job. Chrissy, put in the chat. I'm not even gonna say it because y'all gonna think I'm fronting. Chrissy, put in the chat what was my first job. What was my first job? You know what I'm saying? I take pride in my first job. My first job in my life. I'm gonna let Christy put that in the chat while I continue the story. But shout out to Chrissy. Bodyguards. There it goes. I was her bodyguard, B. That's right. I was her bodyguard, B. I was hired. I was like 14, 13. I was a bodyguard, bro. Scrawny old Spud was bodyguard, son. And I took my job. I tricked her into eating greens and homework, bro. I'm telling you, bro. I took my job serious. Chrissy, I love you. But when I finally got out, it was a whole new world, y'all. It was a whole new world, and I was excited. But to show you how detached I was from society, right? The first thing I want to do is eat, right? There was a joke that I said amongst my friends in prison, right? And we always heard this joke, right? We always heard this joke. It was like, yo, when you get out, you got to do 2 out of the 3 things. You got to eat some good food, take a hot shower, and get some good, right? So, odds, I'm not going to get all 3 in my first one, but I'm going to get 2 of them. I'm going to get 2 of them. So the first one I shot for was like, let's get some good food. And let me remind you, when I got out, the day I got out, the CO that was letting me out of the prison said, who's Campbell? Who's Campbell? Was a lady, crazy attitude. And I'm like, I'm Campbell. And she was like, oh, you ain't coming back. I'm like, damn, you sound like you mad. Like, I didn't even get out yet. Like, Golden said, Uncle Spud. I was like, I ain't even get out yet. And you talking about, I ain't coming back. And when I walked out, I didn't know my family who moved to Florida. They came into the unified like Voltron with Miss Groves, and they always there. Like when I walked out the door, I remember looking up and seeing my brother and my father, and then I saw my sister, I saw my nephew, then I saw Miss Groves, and I saw all these people coming, and I was like, oh man, this was beautiful. It was the warm welcome, and I was like, yo, I want to go to a diner. I want to go to eat, and there was a diner on Queens Boulevard. It's no longer there. We went there to eat. Now this is where the story, where I'm gonna show how detached I was, right? So they put a menu in front of me, and I had options, and the menu was too much. I wanted to read every line in the menu, and I wanted to understand what this meant. Like, what the fuck is a quesadilla? Like, what is it? Like, it was too much. So I just said, I just want French toast and scrambled eggs. I just want French toast and scrambled eggs. They ordered French toast and scrambled eggs. As we're leaving, I said, you know what? I want to see my parole officer right now. They're like, yo, you got 24 hours. I said, no. I waited 13 years to get out here. I need to see son and let son know I'm about this shit. Like, I'm out here. I need to see him now. So they drove me I was paroled to Queens. They drove me to Jamaica, Queens to go see my parole officer the day I ate and went to parole. And on my way to parole, I'm in the car, right? And as we stop at every stop sign, I see people just talking. And they walking and talking. And I'm in the back with my brother, and I'm like, yo, V, how come everybody talking to themselves? He like, yo, bro, they got Bluetooth. Man, I was like this the whole day. Yo, I did not want to catch that disease. I didn't want my tooth to turn blue and I start talking to people. I just got out here. I'm not going crazy. I did all that time. I didn't know it was a device, B. I thought Bluetooth was a disease. Yo, people looking at me like, yo, what's up with son? I'm in there talking to people like, yo, what up? You good? Yeah, you good? Yeah. Yeah, and they like, yo, why you talking like that? I'm like, yo, I ain't trying to get Bluetooth. Like, how you get Bluetooth, bro? It's like, you can inhale it? Is it on contact? Like, I can't be kissing people. Like, put me on, bro. I just got out here. I see it. He like, yo, it's in the air, son. I'm like, it's in the air? Oh, man, I gotta do this? Like that's how you get it, in the air? He like, no, it's a piece. They talking. I didn't know what the fuck was a Bluetooth. I didn't know what a Bluetooth was, man. I went in the 9.5. Like, it was no Bluetooth. It was no Google. I remember Christy telling me, like, yeah, you could find a lot of things on Google. I was like, that sounds like ill sickness. Like, I don't need to find nothing. Google could stay boo-boo. Like, if I could find everything on Google, I don't need to search Google. I don't need it. So I had no clue, y'all. None. But it gets even crazier, and I'm stressing this to show how detached being away does to you. So after I find out that Bluetooth ain't a disease for my tooth, and you don't contract it through, air pressure through your ear, right? Now I'm like, yo, man, I gotta get my stuff together. So my sister was like, yo, listen, we gotta set you up right. We're gonna set you up right. We're gonna get you some stuff, Matter of fact, Dwayne Reed gonna take care of all this. Dwayne Reed gonna take care of all this. And I'm like, bet, Dwayne Reed gonna take care of all this. So the whole day I go see my family on the block, and shout out to my man who he bought me a cake and all that. I got to see my godmother. You know, I'm making my rounds, seeing the people on the block, just soaking it in. And as the night is going, I'm like, yo, I got an 8 o'clock curfew. I gotta be home at a certain time. So it's like 7:30, and I'm like, hey, you know, what's up with Dwayne? Like, is he one of my cousins? He a friend of the family, like Dwayne Reed, Dwayne Reed, like who he is? Because you said he was gonna set me out. My sister was like, oh babe, that's the store that we bought you the washcloths and the Medicaid, the Band-Aids and the lotions and stuff. I was like, man, I thought this was a person who was gonna save me, give me a gig. Son, you mean to tell me that's the spot that we bought the vitamins in? Dwayne Reed, all day I thought Dwayne Reed was a dude that was gonna like have the answers for me. No, bro. I'm telling you, my transition was very I make fun of it, right? I make fun of it. But the way I'm making fun of it, I'm not adding to it. I'm telling y'all the facts, right? But going back to my man Shark within a day, and I'm gonna share this real quick. And I don't think Chrissy nor Miss Groves know this though. But I got paroled to Howard Beach. It's a place in Queens, and Howard Beach was historically a racist. It had a very representation of that due to some of the activities that happened when we was kids. So when people heard I was moving to Howard Beach, they were like, yo, Spud, you bugging, don't do it. Man, I was in Comstock, Clinton, Attica. Bro, I will go to Mars and you could throw me in a lion pit, bro. We gonna be playing dice. I'm gonna have a cipher going, and one of them gonna be holding me down. There might be one that wanna scratch me, but we'll work that out anyway. I don't care. I didn't care. Send me anywhere. 3 days in Howard Beach. And Chrissy, you could tell Pat this. You could tell her now. This might make sense to Pat on some of the reasons why I did some of the things I did. A black Escalade. No, excuse me. Yeah, it was an Escalade. Was it Escalade? Cadillac. It was a black Cadillac. Pulls up. So you got to walk to the train, and it's driving real slow. So I'm walking on the street because the block I lived on it was First Avenue. No, Rao Court. It was First Avenue. We moved to Rao Court, so it was First Avenue. I'm walking, and this black Cadillac is riding slow behind me. And wow, he Hobie, that's what we called it. And as he got close to me, the window rolled down, and the guy was like, hey, Eric. I'm like, hey, Eric. He said, yeah. My name is Jimmy, man. My name is Jimmy. Yeah. Hey, you going to the train? Take a ride with me. So I jump into Jimmy's Cadillac. Don't know Jimmy. Jimmy proceeds to say to me, hey, I'm the landlord. Yeah, I got a few of these buildings out here, you know. You might look in the back and see some phones and ATMs and stuff, but pay that no mind. He said, hey, so what are you going to be doing out here? You know, you're going to be selling weed or stuff? And I was like, weed? He said, yeah, we don't really do prostitution out here, but if you do that hard stuff, you got to come talk to me. But listen, if you got a problem, don't call the police, you call me. I'm Jimmy. Hey, take my number. Man gives you my number and drops me at the train station. This shit was straight out of a movie, B. Straight out of a movie. I'm like, did I just get pressed? Like, did a mob dude he just pressed me. I was in the back. Like, I seen this movie before. It ended a lot different. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I'm happy it ended differently. But I seen this movie before. And she said that does not surprise me. And he gave me his number and let me on my way. Yeah, let me on my way. And just to show, and I'm just saying that to Chrissy because I never shared that part, right? But there was a lady across the street on First Street. Oh no, Rao Court. Right across the street. Might surprise my mom though. And the lady would give me problems. Every time she see me, she rattling her trash cans. she's shaking up her stuff, and every time I'm walking, she gotta throw out the trash. Every time I'm walking, she's throwing out the trash. I don't care. You ain't saying nothing to me. You distressed by seeing me. That's your ish. That's your shit. You gotta deal with being stressed out seeing me. I feel good. I'm here. I don't care. So one day, Jimmy sees me. Jimmy says, "Hey, what time you walk to the trains?" And stuff like that. So I tell him, and he says, wait a minute. The lady over here, and I think her name was Teresa. He was like, Teresa, I didn't know her name. He said, over here, when you walk to the train, she's always coming out? I said, yeah. He said, man, she complained about you. I said, well, she never said nothing to me, but it seems like she got a problem. He said, don't worry about it. Next day I walk to the train, Teresa come out. Hey neighbor, how you doing? Hey, anytime you got something. I was like, yo, Jimmy strong. My man Jimmy run. My man told me don't call the police, call him. My man told me if you look in the backyard and see ATMs and phones, don't look. Man, I looked. I saw ATMs and phones like he was the ATM and phone service. But that's where I lived, right? My first job I was trying to get. And one of the sad things about my situation was when I was in prison, a lot of people wrote letters for my freedom. You know, a lot of people wrote letters to help me. And when I got out, I didn't realize those letters were like letters of support, but like not really want to help you. Like, yo, I'm gonna write this, I'm gonna give you a job shit, but I ain't trying to give you a job, right? But in prison, you holding on to every word someone says. So I had these stacks of letters and I'm going one by one. Hey, I'm home. Like, you know, that apprenticeship job at your dentist. Like, oh no, that was just something we mentioned. Yo, hey, you know, you got the pet shop. You know, I could do the janitor work. Oh, we weren't really offering that. You know, we glad you, like, one by one. It was getting defeated. And shout out to my man Price. Actually, rest in peace to my friend Price, who was up north with me. He was working in Far Rockaway at a laundromat called Clean Right. And I went to go visit him. And I took the A train all the way to Beach 25th, and I went to his job to see him in the laundromat. He was like, yo, bro, they hiring, son. If you want to get a job here, you know what I'm saying? All you got to do is fill it out, but don't say you was locked up. They not going to check. But don't say that because they not going to hire you. But you got it, bro. You'll have a gig. Parole be off your back. And I was like, yeah, this would be a good way to make some bread. Like, this would be a good way to make some money and shit because I need to make some money. So the guy comes, and he's like, yo, that's him right there. So I go, and I was like, hey, you know, I'm looking for a job. And he's like, oh, you know, you got a resume? I said, yeah, I don't got it on me. He said, well, we could do the interview right now. Right? I said, yeah, right here, right at the counter. He said, we could do it right here. I'm going to ask you a few questions. So he asked me a few questions. Did I work before? And I'm like, yeah, I worked. And he was like, yo, so what's some of the stuff you did? And I was like, drafting, you know, I drew blueprints. And he was like, cool, anything else? And I was like, yo, you know, I did janitorial work and I swept, I know how to mop. And he was like, oh, cool. And I was like, yeah, you know, small engines. I'm naming all jail shit, B. I'm out here trying to paint a janitorial. Man, I was a porter. Man, I swept the hallway, mopped the hallway, and kept the gym clean. Like, so I'm over here painting it, right? Like, trying to just say these things because that's what they told me I got to put in my resume. You know what I'm saying? So I'm painting these stories. And then he says, yo, have you ever been incarcerated? And I was like, yeah, bro. And he was like, why you tell me that? I know they told you don't say that. And I was like, yo, bro, if I lie now and get the job and I'm relying on it and then you find out later, I think it's going to affect me more. So I'd rather you not give me the job now and I stay in my hardship than get some money coming in and depending on it. And he was like, yo, man, I'm going to tell you something. I knew you was in prison by all the programs you named. I was in prison too, and somebody gave me a shot, me being honest with them. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to give you a shot. I got the job, yo. I got the job working at Clean Right. I made $128 a week. I was balling. I was happy as fuck, bro. $128? Man, listen, that beats the 5 cents an hour I was cooking in the infirmary. I was a nurse's aide making 10 cents an hour. And that was luxury. I was balling with 10 cents an hour. So $128 a week. And I worked the overnight. That clears me from parole, right? I get rid of parole. I got a job now. And I could put some money in my pocket. And it was cool. So guess what? I worked in that laundromat. He said that spot was official. It was in the hood. Yes. Clean Right was on the corner of Seagirt Boulevard and Seagirt Street. It was a spot that got shot up almost every night. They shot my coworker on a shift change. Like I did my shift. He was coming in, I was coming out. They shot him up. Shot the whole thing. Windows, shot the machines, dryers in the back, got hit. That was the place I worked. It was crazy. It was crazy. You know, Chink, shout out to Chink's, rest in peace to Chink Drugs. He used to be in there heavy, not even washing clothes. He was just in there. It was a hangout. It was the weirdest place. But the thing about Clean Right, where I made $128, what a lot of people don't know is I saved $8.40 every check. For 3 years. 3 years I saved $8.40, bro. $8. Now the studio that I'm in right now, that $8.40 is what jump started, and I'm gonna keep the story going. So within 3 years, I saved almost $1,200. $1,200 I saved in 3 years, making $128. I had $1,200 to my name, and I said, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm buying studio equipment. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna buy studio equipment. I'm gonna be an engineer. I'm gonna have my own spot. I'm gonna be recording. I call my man, yo, bro. What's up, yo, bro? I'm gonna get the studio equipment. He like, yo, son, you bugging, B. You don't even know how to engineer. Bro, you wildin'. I'll talk to you later. I call somebody else. They're like, yo, bro, don't you got a baby on the way? Now, she's my wife now, but she was my girlfriend. She was pregnant. So I'm living with my third grade teacher still, so I don't even have my place. I got $1,200 to my name. I work in a spot that makes $128. That's it. Not a lot to stretch, right? If you don't know how to stretch, right? I know how to stretch, bro. So I call a few people, and I call my girlfriend who was pregnant, and I'm like, hey, babe, I wanna get a studio. She's like, a studio? I was like, yeah, they got it on Craigslist. I could get the whole bundle. She was like, yo, how much it costs? I said, $1,200. She's like, yo, how much you got? I said, $1,200. And I never forget these words. Go for it. Go for it, yo. Yo, Pip, what's good? She said, go for it. I already had the cart full. I just had to check out. I hit enter, bing, all my money was gone. Poof. In the mystical world of the internet, right? My money was gone. Poof. Just as slow as it came, it went fast. Gone. 2 weeks later, I'm waiting. My packages come, bro. I open it up. It's all the wrong equipment, B. My ass ain't know nothing about no equipment. I saw speakers and faders and headphones and a mic. And I thought that was a live. I bought a live setup, B. I bought a trackboard for a live setup. Couldn't even put Pro Tools in it. Didn't even have a computer. I just had this equipment. And I'm like, yo, what I'm gonna do? So every day I would set the equipment up when Miss Groves would go to work. I would set the equipment up in the middle of the room and play with it and then package it back in boxes because I really had no place to set up and I had the wrong stuff anyway. So I went on Craigslist, put it up for trade, sold some, traded some. I went to the Institute of YouTube, figured out what I needed. Speaking of Google and the internet, I'm a quick segue. I was so blown away by the internet. You could Google anything. When I came home, I was like, after Chrissy told me about Google, and I thought Google was a disease, right? A sickness. When I found out you could type anything, I would type anything. Like, man comes home from prison, needs to get rich. And I saw I could put any. I was blown away by Google, right? So there used to be these pop-ups that came with, you want an iPad, and I would click it, and then there'd be a girl holding her titties and stuff, and I'd be like, So I would be clicking away. Whatever came, click. I'm sorry, Chrissy, I think I gave your computer a virus. But funny thing, I remember Miss Grove sitting me down one breakfast morning, and she's like, hey, I know you was away a long time, and but those porn sites, they're not good for the computer. I'm like, porn sites? Yo, I was hitting all those links. Yo, I could see my history looking foul, B. Miss Groves thought I was in there going nuts. So she probably was like, damn, he can't even stick to one site. This boy got mad sites. I ain't know. Yo, I had no clue. I want an iPad. Click. I do the whole survey. It was resending me to other windows was opening. I'm like 50 minutes trying to get an iPad. Like, I had no clue. And Chrissy said I'm dead. But I remember she sat me down like, those sites are not good for the computer. I'm like, sites? I ain't on porn sites. Like, I'm trying to get into something. I'm in the town. I did those up north, like the magazines and all that. I'm in the titty bowl. I'm in the town. I need that flesh, that warm thing. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to get to the computer. But I was like, maybe she just put me on. But when I found out how computers work, damn, my history was foul. And I think I fucked up the computer. Sorry, Chrissy. I fucked up that computer. But I got the studio equipment. Back to the story, right? I segue back to the story. So now I got this computer, and I got this setup. I got my setup, and I got all the things that I needed. So, my child is being born and coming up, and my lady's like, yo, we gotta move in. Like, now the transition of moving in together is where I'm at. Like, this is my lady. We about to have the baby. So I'm preparing for that transition. So we finally move into a basement space together. We move in, and the basement space is just regular basement space, right? And within the time of us moving together, rest in peace to Martha. Martha, grandmother, Evilise, my wife's mother, she passes away. So then the house structure changed and where we were gonna move. So we end up switching where we move and had the basement empty. And now I got all this equipment still, you know what I'm saying? I'm still on my dream to making a studio equipment. And this is why having a partner that not only sees your vision, but adds to your vision is important. And I'm gonna do a flip to that. If you have a partner that sees your vision and adds to your vision, don't forget them and the possibilities of their vision, because you could get absorbed with them supporting you and you forgetting them. Just sharing. Take it if you want it and leave it if you want to. And then she says to me, we were splitting up the basement, trying to figure out. And I remember she said, oh, we building a studio. And I'm like, studio? Word, studio. I'm gonna build a studio. I built, like, if you heard me earlier, I built brains and fossils and a makeshift atom bomb. Instagram, it was just a figure of science. It wasn't a real thing. So please, let me just do that disclaimer now before they do come in. So I'm like, I'm gonna build a studio. And I'm reaching out to people. Now, I ain't got the money. I spent $1,200, got a baby on the way. I still make $128 a week, right? I don't make much, right? So I'm looking up how to look it up. I'm looking up how to build it. And no one want to help me. A dude named David Hall, shout out to my man David Hall. He up north right now serving 25, man. I hope he all right. But Dave was like, yo, I'll help you. I'll build the studio with you. I'm like, say no more. We did, my wife measured, was it 12 footsteps? It was like 12 footsteps of space that she measured, which was perfectly aligned with the boiler. And I took the rest of my money and I went with David Hall and we bought sheetrock and installation and wood, and we built the actual desk. The 2-layer desk in my studio is in the wall. It's built in the wall. We built the studio with our own hands. Do you know how prideful that was to be in here inhaling, sheetrock? Eyes all watery because, we out of pocket. We ain't got mask on and stuff for our eyes. We don't know nothing. It was 9.5 squares. See, she remember 9.5 squares she measured. 9.5 squares. Catalyst was good. Yes, Pip said with the right partner, 1 + 1 = 4. You ain't lying, my dude. You ain't lying. And we did the squares, right? I mean, we had the sheetrock and we painted it and we did everything. Like everything was done with a bare hands, from the installation to the doors to the glass to the electrical. We did the electrical. Like we ain't know nothing. Well, he knew more than me. I knew nothing, right? And the day was March 6, 2012. The studio was built, and that was the day Jelly, my daughter, came home from the hospital. That's the birthday of Shoe Studio. March 6, 2012. The walls were up. It still was rough. Needed some sanding and painting, and I didn't have all the equipment that I have now, and I didn't have this section of the studio where I'm sitting in right now. The walls didn't have plaques and stuff and all, but we had a stool. I had a little M audio box with the 3 knobs on top, 1 mic line, you know what I'm saying? That I had that in there with a iMac when iMacs first was popping, the flat ones, but the fat ones. It was like this big, but you look at it, it looks like nothing. And that was my studio, bro. And I was like, yo, I'm putting it in studio. Now, I skipped a big thing. I skipped a big story, which the first studio was actually a refrigerator box. That was the first studio. Before I put these walls up, I had a refrigerator box that I found from the corner store, and I put a mic in it. I cut a door, bent it. I cut a glass, glue fiberglass, and me and my pregnant girl, she was pregnant with the belly, like 8 months, went to the pharmacy and we bought bed foam. I foamed it out. And I remember her saying, this is not it. It looks ugly. And she put contact paper on that bad boy. She was making it look presentable. I was with the General Electric logos all over it from the refrigerator. I didn't care. And that was my first studio, was a refrigerator box. And if you was tall, you had to sit down in it. But if you was good, you could stand in it. And I recorded in that. After that is when I went and spent for these walls. But there was a moment that was real instrumental in what made who I am in business. There was a moment where I used to put my ads on Craigslist. And I will say I was wilding. I had all kind of people coming to the studio. I knew none of them. They would come 50 deep. I had no cameras. I just had me with my up north mind, like I would shank you, put you in a yoke, knock you out. I don't care. Let's get this money. That's the mind frame I had. Like, bro, there's not much you could do to me. You know what I'm saying? But I was wilding. Now, half the stuff that I did then, I'd be like, nah, we ain't doing that. But I put this ad on Craigslist, and people would come. And one day I get a phone call from the ad. And usually I don't get a phone call. It was emails I was really getting. And the person was like, hey, we want to call and verify, is there public parking or private parking? What's the capacity of the studio? What's the entrances? Is there 2 entrances? How many fire extinguishers you got? I'm like, what is this, the feds? Like, I'm trying to run a legal enterprise here. Like, leave me alone, right? So I was a little iffy of who these people were. Come to find out, it was the MTV. It was MTV, and she even me said Studio A cardboard box with mattress foam as soundproof. That was Studio A. But it was MTV. They were calling because the Real World had the winner. Her name was Camilla. Camilla won the Real World Challenge at that time. I think it was around 2012, 13. The studio was fresh, and they were looking for a low-key place for her to record. And now I'm looking around my makeshift studio. I still ain't put the paint on the wall, so the sheetrock is bare. I didn't even sand down the on. I didn't do. It's rough. And then I'm looking at my equipment like, damn, I don't got no SSL board. I don't have. The crazy part, may I add, I was running Pro Tools SE. Now a lot of people might not know what Pro Tools SE. It was a special edition, which means it came with the interface. It came with the M audio interface, which there was only one window. And if you're not an engineer, you don't understand this. It didn't even come with a mix window. It only came with an edit window. And you could not use plugins. I didn't even know what a plugin was, B. I didn't know what a plugin was till 2014. The studio opened in 2012. 2014, I didn't get plugins till then, and the studio was jumping. Anyway, I had Pro Tools SE. They booked the studio time. But before they booked the studio time, I was like, I'm not going to let them come in here. I'm not going to take this session because this is unprofessional. This is not it. And then the hustler in me was like, check this. We're going to take their money. We're going to do this session. They might not come back, but then we got more capital. So we could take that and get the stuff we need. So I was like, put your pride to the side. And let's get to this money, B. So that's what I did. I put my pride to the side. I booked the session. I'm in there working. They like, yo, could you do doubles and do the echoes? I was like, yeah, record it 4 times. I'm in there manually, automatic, placing the same words to get echoes, fading them in because I don't have plugins. I didn't know what a plugin was in there. But guess what? They left and they booked again. And then they booked another time. So now my studio jumping. My pride is up. That's when I realized it don't take a lot to look at what you already have to make work. But it takes a lot to look at what you don't have and waste time for your opportunity in front of you and chance it because you're looking at what you don't. I was here looking at all the things that I didn't have in my toolbox. I had the toolbox and I had 1 screwdriver. And I'm worrying about not having hammers. But the job in front of me, I could use the screwdriver. And if I gotta flip the screwdriver around and bang a nail in, I could make it work. And that's when I realized I gotta work with what I got. Forget what I don't. It don't matter. I don't have it. Why am I wasting energy on something? I never look back. I didn't care what I don't got. Everything, I'm $1 billion. I'ma keep it real. I'm $1 billion. I just gotta figure out for everyone who wants to cash that in with me. And that was my mind frame. And the studio grew. And for those that don't know, SHU Studio, SHU, is solitary confinement in prison. It's called the SHU. If you ever see a prison show and it was like, yo, he's in the SHU. That's where the name SHU Studio comes from. Because when I was in prison in the box, like I told y'all earlier, for those that were on earlier, music was all I had. It was the only thing that kept me sane. And when I was in the box, which I was in the box 4 times throughout my time incarcerated, music is what kept me going. So now as a free man on this side, I realized while I was incarcerated and in prison, and music was keeping me sane, and when I got out, I saw all these free people locked up. Like I saw free people locked up, B. It blew my mind how much people didn't even know they were doing time. And I said, you know what? I'm never gonna let myself get into that space of being free and locked up. So I'm gonna make sure music keeps me sane. Because if I lose this music, I might just be like everybody else. And that's why I named my studio SHU Studio. It's the box. Sometimes people want to think outside the box, and sometimes you just gotta think about what's in it before we get out. I don't want to get all metaphoric on y'all, right? But that was the birth of SHU Studios. At that same time, I was running around with my man Shark. My man Shark, you know, he took me to 50 Cent, he took me to Wu-Tang, he took me to Dipset. It was Jim Jones though. He was taking me all these places because Kurt Burrows, who initially, like I mentioned early in the story, if you wasn't on, Shark called him and I was on the phone with him. He was suing Puff because Puff beat him with bats for Bad Boy Records. So he told me, listen, I got an industry black eye. You mess with me, you'll never come out. So I couldn't mess with him. So I told Shark, yo, Shark, you taking me to all these places. I remember him taking me to 50 Cent in Jamaica, Queens. We on Sufton Boulevard. And I'm spitting in the middle of the street, but I think I was drooling. B. Like, that's how hard I was spitting, like my life depended on it. I was going in like I wanted to smack 50. Like, that's how hard I was going. And I remember them looking and I was like, yo, we gotta take Son on tour. And my manager, Shark, he saw one dude. And he looked at me and he said, yo, we out. Like, yo, we out. He's like, yo, we out. We out. And I'm like, yo, this is my opportunity. This is my opportunity. And I remember sitting in the car with him, like, yo, Shark, that's my opportunity. And he was like, yo, you got to be careful with your opportunity around certain people. And sometimes you need those eyes around you, y'all. Sometimes you be so lost in the opportunity, you don't know the detrimental thing that's around the corner. And he saw that in whoever that was coming in the car. He saw that. But then he took me to Wu-Tang, and they wanted to take me on tour. Kid you no lie, I remember going to the house, right? Going to the mansion. And Raekwon, now, I gotta paint this picture for y'all. I grew up. I bought the Wu-Tang 36 Chamber CD before it locked up. I bought the CD when CDs just got popping. So I bought this. I watched these guys on TV, and now I see Raekwon, Ghostface Smith, Master Killer. I'm in the space. They playing pool. And I'm there. My feet is tapping the ground. I'm cool. I'm calm. You know, I'm not even like hyping off. You know what I'm saying? And getting all too, no. I'm just sitting there, my foot tapping, because I'm like, yo, I'm in the space with these dudes. I need to do something. And while Raekwon was about to hit on the pool table, I jumped on the pool table and started spitting. And I'm spitting at Ray. Because to me, I think Ray, to me, he was the most flamboyant. Like his shit ain't never stink. Right? So I'm spitting at Ray. Like I'm trying to provoke him. And I wanted any one of them to go, because I got books memorized. You know, I was in prison a long time. So I memorized 4 books of rhymes. So you might have been more a veteran. You might have had more veteran skills than me, but we could do this all night. I'm gonna win. I'm gonna outrun you, and then your mans and them is gonna laugh at you. So I'm trying to provoke them, and he ain't go for it. And True Master came out the kitchen, and he was eating something, and he was like, he opening up for us. And Ray looked up, and he was like, that's peace, God. I was like, your boy is Wu-Tanging it? I'm Wu-Tanging it? Stop, son. What my name gonna be? Now, up north, I already was I Master. You know, when I was studying the Tree of Life, the Book of Life, I was I was I Master. I was I Master up north, Jaw Law. So I already knew mathematics. So I was like, yo, I could plug right into this set. And then, me trying to be a good dude, I go to parole to tell them the good news. Hey, Wu-Tang is letting me open up for them and tour. This would be a great work opportunity for me. And parole said, you go on tour, I'm sending you upstate. Just like that. You dare step 1 foot on any bus, you leave New York. You outside of curfew. I'm sending your black ass back upstate. Ain't no Wu-Tanging for me. I was back to the laundromat, back to zero, figuring out what I'm gonna do to make some music. So if y'all all know, I got a logo. The logo is my face. It's half my face. Check, that's my logo. Shout out to my man Shark. That was Shark's idea as well. Shark, and I'm gonna start speeding up the story. I'm gonna start, because I could be here all day. It's story time. So if you got any questions, feel free to ask your questions, because I'm leading up. But if there's something I'm missing, feel free, because I am trying to end 11:30. 11:30, I'm trying to close this off. So my man Shark took a picture of me in one of his rooms, and I was sitting like this. And he took it, and he was like, yo, we gonna make a logo. And he said to me, he treated me like drugs. He said, you're the purest drug I know. So we're going to treat you like drugs, and we're going to create a stamp. We got to create a stamp. And he came back with the logo. And I was like, my face? Come on, B. You couldn't get barbed wires or something, you know what I'm saying? A bullet and I'm in some macho man shit, right? You couldn't get something like 2 bats with a skull and a reef or something, Spud. You came with my face, bro. I see that shit every day, bro. He was like, nah, there's a part of you that people will never know, and there's a part that they will see. It's the yin and yang of you, bro. That's our stamp. And literally, we made a stamp. We made a stencil. And every day we would drive to the city and spray paint my face in front of record labels. I could say it now, but I wouldn't suggest anybody on parole, breaking curfew, to spray paint their face. Now, peep this. I'm on parole, breaking curfew, spray painting my goddamn face, like my face, on the floor. The shit you do, bro. The shit you do. When you really think about it, like, the shit we do. And we did that every night. He would pick me up from work, and before he dropped me off, we would hit a spot in the city, record label. And I never forget Jive Records. One day we spray painted it. A few times we spray painted it there, and they would spray wash it off, and we always would go there first because they would always spray washed it first. So, Sony, they would spray wash it first. And one day we went back and there was a note. And the note said, "Spud, what do you want?" Now my logo initially, the whole complete logo was my face, the stencil that y'all always see. On the top, it said, "I want in." And the bottom said, "Spud." That was the complete logo, "I want in." And I was playing off the King of New York. I want in. I don't care if a dime bag gets sold in the park. I want in. I don't care. That was my whole theory to the labels. Like, I want in. And they held a meeting because we spray painted our face. This was my first industry meeting with Ant Live. Ant Rich. Ant Jive is a dude. Ant Live is a dude I know from another. Ant Rich was the A&R. That was my first meeting with an A&R. That was my first business situation, and they heard me out. And I had a project called I Want In, which was me rhyming over everybody's beats. Biggie beats, Jay-Z beats. And I presented it, and they were like, "Yo, that's 50% of the battle. Like, you can't mess up a dope beat. Even if you have decent, we're going off the precedence of that beat. So that's the cheat code." He was like, "Yeah, that worked back in the 90s. But we don't do that no more. We need records. We need something." And he was like, "Yo, come back with something." And I dropped a project called One for the Money. And shout out to Kaz, shout out to Flex, shout out. I got a lot of beats for free. Shout out to Pete Rock, who gave me a beat. I was in the studio spit for him. He was like, "That's you. Do what you want." I actually dropped that record. And I put together this thing called One for the Money. And that was like my album for the label. Like, that wasn't a project to be for radio or for promo. MySpace was the only like DSP at the time. Like, there was no DSPs popping. And I dropped it. I put it together and I put it out to them. And they were going to give me a deal. And then Omarion, Mr. Icebox, where my heart used to be, he starts popping. And when Omarion starts popping, Jive tells me, "Look, we moving in this wave. If you want to mess with us, because we like you. Bust a move. Like put some moves into your raps." And I'm like, "So do y'all listen to what I just said, bro? Did you just listen to what I just said? Like, I'm busting somebody's head open. I don't know how. Like how do I put somebody in a chokehold and busting a move? It doesn't work. It doesn't work." And Ant Rich, this is when I realized how the industry was, I don't want to say funny, but Ant Rich would call me. And this was actually a little bit before the studio. Ant Rich would call me. And it's like, "Yo, bro, I got 4 blondes for you, bro. Come hang out with me." Hang out with you, 4 blondes. And then me and Shark would go and they would hand around, and I don't mean to put man's business out there, but they would hand a tray around with this powdery stuff. I don't think it was baby powder. And they would pass this around. And I'm like, "Yo, this is crazy." Like, they got the whole, the bowl. One of the time was a bowling alley. It was like Lucky Strikes or something. And I'm like, this is what's going on? And I used to sit there like, I don't got the time to fucking party, B. Like, y'all could gas all these other people with that. Like, I need to get on and make a situation. And that's when I was like, you really got to be headstrong in this game. Like you got to really know what you in it for and what you will allow people to do and guide you or invite you to the party, but won't set up a party for you. There's a lot of that in the industry. They'll invite you to the party. Come party with us. Come party with us. But they never want to throw one for you. And you could get lost in that. What changed for me? This is what changed me from an artist to get into business. This one thing got me into business. During the time with Aunt Rich, the whole thing with Aunt Rich and Omarion is bubbling, I hear that CNBC is looking for a commercial. They're looking for a commercial. And I'm like, all right, cool. Like, what do I want? And they were like, yo, we heard a record you got on MySpace. What are you doing with that? And I was like, it's called Fiddler. You want it? It's on MySpace. They were like, yeah, we want it. We want to pay you for the song, though. We want to license it from you, and we're going to use it for the commercial. And I was like, so how much y'all want for it? He was like, no, we don't want it. Like, it's going to be yours. It's all yours. We just want to license it. Like, you own the rights, your masters. And I was like, my masters? I own the rights? Ooh, yeah. What we going to do? And they were like, yo, we want to give you $16,000. You could have told me I won the lotto, $16,000. Man, I made $128 a week. You talking about $16,000 in one shot? Like one shot? Like, I gotta check that because at the time, I didn't even have a savings account. I had a bullshit checking because I had no credit and no information. I held a $16,000 check that I couldn't even cash. Bro, couldn't even cash. So, within 2 weeks span of this said check, a lawyer in Jive Records, Matthew something, he says, yo, you the pen. I'm like, the pen? It's the first time I heard that. You the pen for the commercial, to see. I said, yeah. He said, step into my office. He said, so how things are going with that? I said, it's amazing. Like, I made some money. Gotta cash this check. But I made some money. And, I'm gonna save it, see if I could get some stuff jumping. He said, so what about foreign rights? I said, foreign what? He said, foreign rights. He says, the US dollar is different in Europe. You get a different value marker. I said, oh. He said, what about DVDs? Did you negotiate DVD sales? Because every time they sell the DVD, the song is on the DVD. I said, I didn't think about DVDs. He said, what about reruns? In India, it ran about 4,000 some extra times. And so did you negotiate reruns? So I said, I'm going to be honest with you, man. I don't know what you're talking about. But this is what I need from you. Everything that you just asked me, could you calculate that and tell me what I possibly missed? He said, sure. And I'm sitting there like, probably a few $100, few $1,000. Nothing heavy. He turned around and was like, $96,000. I missed $96,000. He was like, yeah, if you owned this and you did the reruns and the DVD sales, they actually put it back in back order. And he said they actually put some more into production, so they printed out a bunch of more CDs. He's like, yo, I think it did 1 million, this, and he's telling me all these numbers. And I was like, how do I know that? I need to know that. Like, how I need to know that? He was like, well, you want to learn that? You got to know contracts. You got to understand the complicity of contracts and how things bind you, because they gave you a contract and it's in there, but it's not really clear, but it's in there. But if someone really knows, they can. And I was like, okay, I want to know contracts. He was like, but you just can't get any contract. You got to get like good contracts. Like, I said, what's good contracts? He said, bad ones. I said, wait, good contracts are bad ones? He said, yeah, bad contracts is how you learn how to do good contracts. Because good contracts, you don't learn nothing from. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. A bad one is where I'm going to learn the stuff. So I said, you know what? I know Michael Jackson had an issue with Sony. Prince didn't even own his name at one time. DMX, The Lox. So I made a list. Courtney Love, The Beatles. I named a list of 14. And I didn't want just one genre. I wanted all genres. And I made a list and I went back to him and I was like, can you help me get these contracts? And he was like, well, some of those contracts are not in public domain. So you can't FOIL, Freedom of Information Law, and get them. But you can go to the publishers who now own those rights to the contracts and get the contracts. So I said, you know what? Do that for me. I got a few dollars, a few contracts, because you get that. The man came back and said $15,000. You $15,000 for what again? He was like, yeah, for the mic, for all these contracts, you want all these contracts, it's gonna cost about $15,000. And he gave me a write-up of what everybody wanted to sell their contract. Y'all think I paid $15,000? I need to know from the chat real quick. Y'all think I paid $15,000 for contracts? Do y'all think I paid that? I need to know if y'all with me. I need to know if y'all following the story with me. I need some energy. I've been running my mouth this whole time. Do y'all think I only had 16 to my name? Do y'all think I paid 15 for these goddamn contracts? Somebody. Catalyst said nah. Somebody tell me. That's we go. Nope. My ass surely did. Let's get a round of applause to that one. My ass paid $15,000 for contracts. This goddamn check that I can't even cash. I went to the check cashing place, which lost about $2,000 on Knickerbocker Avenue, and took the rest of the money that I had, and I paid $15,000 goddamn dollars for this paperwork. Picture me on the train, holding a stack, right? I'm on the train with a stack of papers like, what the fuck did I just do? I don't even know what I'm reading. I just spent $15,000 on paper and ink. Some of this shit was Xeroxed. And I went back and I was like, I gotta make this pay me back. I just paid $15,000 in this investment. This paper gotta make me paper. This paper got to make me paper. And I sat there with a highlighter. And I highlighted everything that I saw that made some kind of inquiry. And I highlighted and I looked it up and I cross-threaded and referenced it. And I went back to interviews, went to my favorite place, YouTube. And I went up and looked up the Prince's interviews and saw what his beef was. And then I looked at his contracts and I studied what did he miss. Because Prince had the best lawyer in the game. Prince's lawyer at the time is still, right now, the best lawyer in the game. And if the best lawyer in the game couldn't get this man to own his own name, what's in his paperwork? I need to know. I found out what Prince's lawyer, they paid thousands of dollars, missed. I found out what DMX missed. I found out what Michael didn't see. What Courtney Love looked over. What the Beatles didn't even know was in there. What the New Kids on the Block didn't notice. What NSYNC didn't even know there was another member into their band. I found out what was in those papers. Now that I know this shit, how am I gonna make this shit make money? Because Prince got his name back. NSYNC and them is over here. DMX was over there. Courtney Love went and did the... Like, how can I make this make sense? And it was like helping and finding artists who need the assistance. The first person that I ever caught wind was a kid that was in Jive Records. His name was Slap Z. Slap Z. Z-E-E. And they was negotiating for signing him at Jive. Now, me and Slap would dap each other because Slap did some time and I did time. And when you did time, you know somebody did time, it's like a, you know what I'm saying? It's one of those. I tell Slap, let me sit in your contract. Let me sit in the meeting. While you're in the meeting, let me look over the contract. I'm going to come with a highlighter. Bing, and I'm going to highlight a few things. And then I'm going to send it over to y'all. Right in the meeting, you look at it and ask your lawyer, because he had a lawyer, to inquire. If something pops on this, put some bread in my pocket. That's it. So then I'm looking over Slap's thing and I notice in the contract there's a start date Everything in the contract is nice. They going 50-50 on the masters. They did everything is nice. And I look and I'm like, I see a start date. There's nothing about renewal, no 2 year, no. It's just a start date. It's just a start date and then a contract. So I highlight the start date and I push it over and I see, ask your lawyer to ask when this shit ends. And the lawyer's like, this is a great contract. Thank you for your help. Thank you. I got this. I'm legal. He paid. It's okay. They did the contract. He was happy. 2 months later, he trying to get out of the contract. There's no end terms. No end terms. None. Slap is stuck. He can't get out of his contract. Omarion is bubbling. They don't even want another rapper. Who he calls me, Spud. You brought that up to me, man. My lawyer missed it. I need you to come back and we're gonna sit at the table with them. So I said to Slap, what is it you want, bro? He said, I just want out the contract. I just want out the contract. I said, all right, cool. I'm gonna go in there. If we could get something better, take care of me, I get you out this contract, this is on the strength. Just keep me in mind. I'm always looking for the future. Keep me in mind. So I get there early. Slap is late. And Rich and a dude, I think Gaffer, Devin Gaffer, something Gaffer, they're in there and they're like, so what legal school you went to? I'm like, I never went to no legal school. He said, how you know this? And I'm like, well, I looked at it and I know it. He's like, so what do you want for today? I said, how about this? You guys are in the wrong, right? You guys are in the wrong. He's an artist that don't want to work for y'all. You obviously it's not working, so he's not going to give you your best, right? You're not going to either give him a date, get a project, let him get a project, solidify him as an artist, do this 1 year, let him go, y'all get some work out of him, y'all set him on his next journey, or if y'all don't even want to invest that time, get him out of the contract for free, and then I'll consult with y'all. So I interject myself. I knew what they want. Now I interject myself. I gave them value, something they could get. And they were like, you know what? When he come, we're going to drop him. But we want to talk more about you because we're curious about this consulting thing you got going on. Slap got out of this deal, and that's when I got the look. Now, when I got the look, a lot of people don't know this. Shout out to We Make the Hits. What's his name? It's gonna come to me. Larry something. Shout out to We Make the Hits. I end up getting, and this is all truth, I end up getting the rights to 100% of Sony's catalog. I just didn't know the value of it at that time. So what they did was they started a branch called We Are The Hits. We Are The Hits controlled all their catalog. What they did was they put me in a position to control the catalog. So I was able to license the catalog, still got the contract in my thing, which expired, and give it to artists. So I could give it to an independent artist, I give it to anybody. It didn't even matter. But I didn't know what I had. But when other people realized, who the fuck is this dude who has the rights to Sony's catalog, people were like, yo, we want to talk to this guy. Now, I didn't understand. Again, I was a baby in the game. I was a baby learning the game. So I really didn't know what I had, y'all, at that time. So at the end of what I was doing, in the process I was building my studio, I was creating a compilation called A Lineup. And what I was trying to do at that point, when I started to learn the game, was get the imprint of Shoe Studio. If you ever look at the original Shoe Studio logo, it says Shoe Studio Music Group. That was what because initially I wanted to transfer it into an imprint through Jive, because I had the situation with Jive. So while I was building that up, I teamed up with my man Bebo for Rothschild's Entertainment. So it was Shoe Studio / Rothschild's. That was the original thing. So they wanted me to create a project, and then when I get the project, they will broker the project and we'll create a merge for the deal. Of course that didn't happen because artists are hard-headed and they saw that a situation was coming and they automatically think money is involved because Jive is there and when I'm getting paid, bro, you ain't getting paid. Like, it ain't that time yet. So that fumbled before it even happened. But something else happened. I get a message from Facebook from a guy named Sincere Revenge. And he's a kid in South Carolina who has a meeting with Nas. Nas got wind that this kid could rap. And kid never been to New York. So he got wind from another dude that I recorded in my studio about me. So he reached out to me and said, yo, I want you to sit in my meeting with Nas at Mass Appeal. I'm like, all right, cool. We could do that. 2 years later, it took him to come to New York. He books a session with me. He books a session with me 2 years later, and we record. And he was rough around the edges. But he was like, I'm going into my meeting with Nas. Could you walk in with me? And we walk into Mass Appeal, me and Sincere, for his deal, to work his deal. Now, this was the first time I was trying to broker a deal. Now, I knew a little bit. I learned more, but I knew a little bit, but not the deal. Instead of Nas, a skier Fountain, who was the vice president of Mass Appeal at the time, he held the meeting. And the meeting to me was just so callous. And he was in there like, yeah, this is cool, yeah. All right, but yo, your Instagram ain't all that, yo. He was talking to Sincere, like, your Instagram ain't all that. You need more traction. Like, this music is great, but I'm not selling music, bro. I'm selling this and this. And he was just real flamboyant and careless. The man at one point stopped the music that was playing in the speakers and was like, yo, y'all ever had a Big Mac versus the Burger King? And he made this whole thing about different tastes of sandwiches during our meeting. The audacity. But as we were walking out, and Sin was a little discouraged, and that was my first title bout, and I felt like I ain't do good. I was like, I gotta go back. And he was like, for what, man? This dude ain't. And I said, nah, you know what? We're gonna go back with a different mind frame. We're not going to go in as artists. We're going to go in with business. We went in as artists. We played the music and we was waiting for a response and we in there like, yo, this is hot. Now we're going to go back with business. And we went back with business. And Peter Benderbider, who was Nas's partner, the co-CEO of Republic Records, he held the meeting. And in the meeting, I told Peter, I said, yo, Peter, check this out. I know what you and Nas got going on, but what if we can make it better? He was like, make it better how? I said, we got fresh ears. I got a studio. I come across talent. Let me be a farm for talent. And while we're a farm of talent, if you need a trainer with the talent you have, you can introduce us. We could keep that occupied. So we could do the studio. We could go to the shows. We keep tabs on the artists. Give us that. And he's like, word, we could do that. And I said, this is the kicker. He said, what? Don't pay us. He was like, don't pay you. I said, nah, we do it for free. Son looked at me like, free what? You bugging the fuck out, man. I'm homeless. And at the time, Sincere actually was living with me because he was homeless and he came from South Carolina with a dream and he was sleeping in a car. And I told him, sleep in the studio with me. And he lived with me for 3-4 years while we built. And I said, we're going to do it for free. And after our meeting, he was like, why for free? I said, because if we do it for free, we're going to get something more valuable than a check. We're going to have access. We're going to have access. Priceless information and outlet that we can never get with a check. 2 days later, we in the A&R meeting. Kid you no lie, A&R meeting. And Jungle walks in. Now, automatically, it's the street in me. Jungle walks in. This is Nas's brother, Jungle. Sin's like, yo, and if you want, you can ask Sin. Sin hits me like, yo, that's Jungle. And I was like, man, fuck Jungle. He was like, damn, son. I said, I get this thing from him. Like I want to get into a fighting stance when I get I don't know what it is, but that's my spot. And we're in the A&R meeting and they're talking about doing a compilation album of up and coming artists on the album. And I've let them talk for 45 minutes. And I said, I got something to say. We got Run the Jewels. We got the kid Astro. We got Esri. We got Nas. We got Dave East. Why are we getting artists that are up and coming that are not signed to the label? when we have artists that we need to highlight, why don't we do a compilation with the artists that's highlighted? If there is artists that are hot and bubbling, we invite them to get a new demographic, possibly test the water with them to sign them, and then we highlight our artists. To me, that made sense. Like, come on, y'all. That sounds common. It makes sense. Yo, you would have thought I just like cured cancer. They was in there like, yo, this is crazy. I can't believe you came up with this. Like, where's your mind? And I'm like, it just makes sense. Like, if you look at it, and Jungle was like, I want him on my label. I want him to run my label. And this was the play, y'all. I'm going to tell y'all a play. So after the meeting, Tyreek, the kid who played Tyreek in Power, he came for a meeting that day. He makes beats. He's a really good producer. He was trying to get signed to Mass Appeal. And this dude, A Boogie, someone stole A Boogie's phone. So A Boogie was given $400. Never forget, he was given $400 for somebody to go to Apple and buy a phone. Apple was like 2 blocks from the label. So Sin was gonna go in. I stopped and I said, "Don't you fucking dare go get no phone." He was like, "Yo, that's an easy $400. I said, "Then you'll never be off that $400. You'll be going to the store in this industry for the rest of your life." The head A&R was named Hunch. Hunch was like, "I'll go." Hunch went. That same day, Hunch went to get the phone, y'all, that I stopped Sin to do. When he came back, they left Hunch in the lobby and they even let him in. And I said, "Yo, you see, Sin? Your presentation in this business, you gotta stand for something. You cannot. Don't look for the quick buck because you'll be ruined for $1. This is what ruins everybody." And I'm talking like a veteran, right? But I'm not at the time. Jungle says, "Yo, come to the studio with me and Dave East, to us." I tell Sin, "You go. I'm gonna talk to everybody in the lobby." He was like, nah. You should be going in there. I said, "No, this is the perfect dynamics. They recognize me as a street dude, so they're gonna be standoffish with me. The kids in the lobby is the dudes that the dudes in the studio don't think is cool, but them kids think they cool. I'm gonna go with the kids who think I'm cool, and you're gonna go with the people who think you safe. We're gonna work both ends, and by the end of the night, we're gonna get the crowds to mix." Sin goes into the studio, keying with Dave East and Jungle. He's texting me. I go talk to the producers and everybody out there, and I'm just asking questions and, listening to their stuff. And then I say, "Yo, where's the studio? Could y'all escort me to the studio?" As they escorted me to the studio, I text Sin, "Yo, when I call you, tell them to open up the studio door." He opens up the studio door. I got like 15 people coming. So when I get to the studio door, when East and everybody look, they like, "Who Jesus with the Red Sea? Like, who's Son? Son got all the producers." And I tell the producers, "Why you not in there?" They were like, "Yeah, we have a hard time getting in there." And I'm like, "Yo, come with me. Now I already got the green light from Jungle, but I wanted Jungle to be separated because I wanted the conversation to be different. Sure enough, we get in there with 15 people, and all of a sudden, Jungle's like, "Yo, you with him?" "You know I'm with him." I'm like, yeah. Yo, what up? Yo, this is the energy we want every day. Yo, matter of fact, this is day 1 of Jungle outside of that meeting. Yo, give me your phone. Yo, here's the password to the label. Here's the key card for the studio. He gave everything. And I kid you no lie, he stopped the whole entire room. Dave East was sitting there. By the way, Dave East is a super cool dude. He stopped everybody. He was like, "Yo, I pray for these dudes. Ask my wife every night. I need somebody who's street, who know this business, and I could keep this shit going." And he was like, "Yo, these guys got everything, y'all. So if you see these guys, they good." Man, we was running A&R meetings. We were trying to sign Graph there. The kid Shooter got signed to the two labels was Mass Appeals and Street Dreams. We were A&R for both of them. But I learned the valuable mistake in this free access. I looked at this free access like an opportunity to prove my worth. I didn't want them to feel like I was there for the opportunity. I wanted to show them that I would work for the opportunity. In the process of working for this opportunity, I was working with both labels. But the vice president, what I didn't take in consideration was we were doing so much work for free. We didn't understand chain of command. So we were making the vice president look a certain way. So one day, there's these thumbs in the studio, and one got stolen. And one of Dave East's friends got drunk, and the bottle of Henny fell into the sofa. Now, the thumb cost $40,000. We didn't know that. It was two of them. That got stolen. I don't know who stole it. But I know it wasn't us, and they was there. And the Henny got poured. And there was this big thing. And I remember Peter coming to the studio mad. And he said he was going to fire Jungle. Or he got mad at Jungle. And Jungle told me and Sen, yo, my pops is in the hospital. Come back for the A Boogie session. And we'll talk more. So I said, yo, do your pops thing. Me and Sen will take care of A Boogie. We got you. That night we went and our key cards ain't work. I called Jungle. Jungle wouldn't answer. I text Jungle, he wouldn't answer. I'm like, what's going on? Week went by, ain't hear from nobody from Master Appeal. 2 weeks went by. One day I'm in my studio, and this is why it's good to be a stand-up person. One day I'm in my studio working with Def Jam. Def Jam, shout out to Mozzie. We record Def Jam in my studio. Right now, we still do. I just did 2 albums for them. And while I'm recording for Def Jam, he says, yo, man, a skier blackballed y'all. I said, what? Yeah, they sent a memorandum around about y'all, talking about y'all doing rookie moves, trying to fit y'all way in, taking people's positions. I would not have known if Def Jam ain't tell me. I would not have known, y'all, if Def Jam ain't give me that word. Here it is, I'm thinking something with the stolen thumb or Jungle. It was a skier blackballing us. Next day, I told Sam, we're going to wake up and we're going to go to every record label, unannounced. I don't care if they make us wait in the lobby. I'm addressing this memo. I gotta. This is our life, bro. We'll be blackballed for the rest of... No. And I went to every label that they was in. And then I called a skier in those meetings. And he wouldn't answer me. And I showed them the text that I sent him about how we were working with everyone and for him to show our loyalty, and we didn't take a cent. And that's what saved us. There wouldn't be no music in the industry with me. If nothing, we made rounds, lobby work, unannounced. Yo, we here to see so-and-so. And that's what changed everything for me, y'all. And then started working with every record label. And one of the highlights for me is going to a meeting. We were going to the meeting at Sony. And when we get out the elevator, the person, even though he was in bad shape, the person who was waiting for us in this meeting, it was Clive Davis. That's when I looked at Sin. And I was like, bro, we got no college. I'm an ex-con. You a dude from South Carolina. We 2 black dudes making our way. And now we sitting in front of Clive Davis to consult. We some bad motherfuckers. And it all snowballed from that moment, y'all. And that's a brief, there's a lot of stuff that I missed, but that was the brief story time with Spud, Brooklyn, and the journey of why and how and what some of the things that make me tick and why I do what I do. So I want to send a big shout out for y'all for rocking out with me. What Miss Jackson said, and people have the nerve to ask what makes you. Yeah, people do. A music professional, they do. And if I told some of the stuff that I did, people would think I'm lying. From consulting to Instagram. A lot of the features y'all get on your stories right now. Be on the lookout for editing. I'm blowing it up. I don't got an NDA. Be on the lookout for editing your stories. That's something we pushing. The bonuses, those are the things that I consulted for. A lot of the effects on Reels was consulted for. I consulted for TikTok. I don't even drink Coors Light. I did Coors Light. I did tons of video games. You name it, and it just comes from a dream, y'all. It comes from putting in the effort. It comes to, working with what you got and what you do. And people gonna see you people gonna box you into their own beliefs, and some things may hurt, you, and some things may not. Like loved ones, sometimes don't see the value or the realism of what you do, or how hard you work. A lot of people don't see how hard I am work, or what my case may be, and you can't personalize it. You can't personalize it. People, it's hard sometimes for people to understand. Like, I'm a professional. Like, professional business. Like right now, I'm talking to Scott Storch on some stuff. Like, I'm actually a business partner with Kurt Burrows right now for pop music entertainment. Like, I've been his partner for 4 or 5 years. Like, there's so much more that happens on the day to day that people don't know and don't take what I do. I wear a shirt say self-employed. And people always say, you self-employed? You know what I mean? Blah blah blah. She said, hey yo, Book of Orlando. Yeah. Yeah. Yo, call Jimmy. He said, call Jimmy, throw him in the trunk. Hey, but people don't know. And they don't. A lot of people might not take what you do, and I'm basically closing out for the night. But a lot of people don't know what you do, and take what you do in light of your skill set. And now I run nonprofits that help kids. I mean, today I ran from a meeting, and then I was filming my daughter for film school, and then I did this show. Like, there's so much that happens throughout your day, but I want to send enough about that. I want to send a big shout out to everybody that's on, especially if you're on the MJMG Presents app for True Radio, and shout out to everybody that's on right now. There's one question that, and the only question on the show, and I'm not gonna skip it because it's me, that we ask every person that's on this show the same. It's usually conversation based, but that one question is, if you could talk to the younger version of you, what would you say? And if I could talk to the younger version of me, I would just lean in and say, it's gonna be a long road. Just keep going. And that's it. I wouldn't change a thing. I could appreciate my hardships today. During them, I would have changed a whole bunch of stuff. But making it out of it, I wouldn't change nothing. From my hardships to my struggles to how people view me, everything. I wouldn't trade it in. It's part of a story, and it's all that makes me today. I wouldn't change a thing. And I wouldn't tell the younger me to change a thing. But I would tell him, this is gonna be a long ride, my dude. Like, make it count. Just make it count. And that's all I would say. I would smile at the younger version of me, like, you got this. Matter of fact, that's probably what I would say. Like, you got this. And that's that. Also, we know we in the day and era of everyone getting their flowers. Here on MJMG Presents by True Radio. We don't give our flowers because flowers die, but we give our honor because honor lasts forever. And I want to take this time to give myself some honor. I had every right to quit. I had every right to make every story true. You ruined your life. You're a 28-year-old man with no work history. You got murder on your rap sheet. You're a young black man. Just be happy with the laundromat job. Just be happy with the little bit you get. I had every right to fall victim, and they could be like, yeah, man, he was young when he went and he came out, he ain't have it. I had every excuse in the world I could have took, and it would have made sense. It was somehow every excuse I could think about. I can't get a job. Every fucking excuse could have made sense. But I want to give myself honor because the dream, man. The dream was worth making it a vision, and the vision was making it a step. All those years that I dreamed in prison, and then I got out here and I got to see the vision, I had to take steps, y'all. I want to give myself that honor for taking each step. Some of them was slow, some of them was long, but taking those steps, and those steps that people didn't see. They didn't see those steps. You know what I'm saying? They didn't get to see a lot of the steps. And when they was asleep, I was still stepping. Even if it meant skipping curfew, I was taking those steps. When I was in the laundromat, people saw me behind the counter, but my steps was still moving. I was always moving, and I'm never gonna stop taking those steps. So shout out to everybody, man. I give a round of applause to that. Felt funny giving myself flowers. But we're going to keep the tradition of the show. Those are the two things that always go. Again, I want to send a big shout out to everybody that's on. And like always, I got to give you the final word. The final, it doesn't change. The format, the show doesn't change. If you didn't get anything from today. Wait, what was Jay said? Spud, you know, do it the way Snoop did. I just want you to thank me. I wanted to thank me. That's right. If you didn't get anything from today, get this. Hardships are going to come. Roadblocks will be there. Time will pass. And all the things that time passing will give you, all the hardships and the mistakes, the errors, the disappointments and the mistakes that you make will give you time lags and hurdles. But if you fall victim to what those hurdles can be, if you allow the definition in your action to make those time lapse hurdles, mistakes true, then it's you. You have the power to take the steps in any direction you want. Dream big, make it a vision, but don't forget to find the steps to that road. Because if you just keep it a dream, you ain't wake up. Shout out to everybody tonight, man. Much love on Storytime with Spud Brooklyn. We were going to take a break, and I thought what a great way to kind of like simmer the break a little bit with just having a moment with myself and everybody that want to hear it. So yeah, have a good night. We're going to end this with Unsigned. Unsigned is a song and a video of me walking through all the record labels where you're not supposed to film, but I do what I'm not supposed to do anyway, and I filmed in it, and I made a record called Unsigned. It's not unsigned, ED. Unsigned means it's never been signed. To unsign means to undo. There's a play on that. So I'm undoing the traditional ways of getting into the industry. And this right here is a song and video called Unsigned. Shot by me with a lot of footage that was shot by me in record labels. But take a listen to the words, man. Y'all have a good night. Keep safe. See y'all soon.
One of them that put their own dough up. A boss, you're only the boss if you put up your own money. If you don't put up your own money, I don't care how much somebody gives you, you're nothing but a supervisor. It's not yours.
I'm cashing royalty checks and I ain't signed though. Hit a few radio sets without a high note. But this what I know, turn fold to 9 mode. From Denimora to Rolex, my time rolled. They said my grind was old. I came home at 28, broke, my mind was on. To find a job, nope, so my job was find my own. And what my PO ain't know, every night I'm off. That's what I counted on. I said music could pay my bills, they laughed at me. And when I bring it back up, they wanna laugh with me. Like I'm laughing with them. In the past, I would've put a flash up on them. Go write some raps up on them. Let's keep it real. You frontin' for the reals. I'ma post up. You just gonna post all in your feels. For them likes, you gon' pen whatever's right. Like your story. 24 hours out of my sight. I'm unsigned. We taking flicks in the offices. Sitting in the meeting while recording it. Posted by the logo, then we posting it. And they call us right back, we do it all again. Let's get this straight, you ain't signing a 360, but brag about your stream, Spotify doing you filthy. And you posted it, not knowing what's supposed to get. And expect labels, come and try to offer shit. I'm in them offices, I know what they offering. What you don't often get, I know how to re-offer it. I made deals, turning down deals for artists. And some artist deals I got a portion in. I know the fine print and how a 9 spit. I'm industry in the streets, Spud's a hybrid. I did my time in. Now my business got billionaires chimed in. They had the game in a chokehold, a Heimlich. I cleared the way, dog, and I ain't gotta rhyme it. I maneuvered the timing. I made what you recouping. I engineered and looped it. Mixed down, off the grid, produced it. I'm unsigned. We taking flicks in the offices. Sitting in the meeting while recording it. Posted by the logo, then we posting it. And they call us right back. We do it all again.
Show studio, we get busy.
Oh, yeah.